Hey guys, it's Em. Welcome to my first long-form video. I've wanted to make a long-form video for a long time, but I've actually never just gotten the motivation to do it, so here you go. Today, if you wanted to know what my drawing was, it's gonna be a Cinderella drawing. I love Cinderella, she's one of my top favorite Disney princesses, but in a dress more inspired by her era, which is the 1870s to the 1880s. So, kind of like a bustle dress, if you can look that up. That's kind of like the style it's inspired by. So, that's all for the art today. We're going to move on to our topic today, which, if you read the title, my topic for today is the problem that people have with femininity. And I bet if you're watching this and you're either a girl or someone who dresses or is perceived very femininely, I'm sure this topic hits very close to home for you. But let's just get right into it. So, something I've noticed a lot is this thing with boy things, masculine things, being expected to just be adopted as a normal part of society, whereas feminine things, girl things, are kind of looked down upon and oh, that's not normal, yeah, it sucks. But I think that there's a reason for this, and I think that that reason is that we as a society, we take these men and we place them on this pedestal, and by doing so, and by having this sexist thing against women, we really take these women and we push them down a level. And what is very commonly associated with women, femininity, these softer qualities, these softer hobbies, these motherly hobbies and feelings are very associated with women, and so within that sexism, we take this feminism and we make it a bad thing. And that's a really big problem because you'll see people being for example, something that I noticed recently is that a lot of boys I know will get really upset if this is just my school, but I'm sure this is very common. Cars. A lot of people in my school, for some reason, get very upset if you haven't watched Cars, for example, for one movie. But then you'll talk to those very same people and be like, oh, well, have you watched a Disney princess movie? Like, Frozen is the one that me and my friends have been talking about. And it'll be like, no, that's cringe, Um, and I think that's a lot of it is from this, oh, they have this feminine, girly movie, and this is being placed on a lower pedestal than these manly, masculine, more masculine movies, such as Cars, or other movies such as Transformers, all that kind of stuff is placed on this kind of pedestal of, oh yes, this is our standard, this is what we want children to be seeing and doing and being more like. And I think a really good example of this is with Pick Me girls. Pick Me, I say, because there's this trend, I don't know if you notice, of girls putting down other girls for male validation, or the not like other girls. It's a very common thing over on Pinterest. Here, I'm going to show a few ones on the screen right now, the not like other girls pins. It's a very common thing on Pinterest where girls will say, oh, I'm not like other girls. I do sports. I read. I don't play with Barbies. I play rough. And with the Pick Me girls, it's a lot of the same stuff, except for it's still trying to appear feminine enough to be appealing. And I think that's really interesting because we tend to take these not like other girls and these Pick Me girls and we make fun of them, which that is kind of deserved because putting down women as a woman for male validation or just to be not like them isn't a good thing. But I think that we kind of take society and we don't hold society accountable for giving those girls this ideal of, to appeal to men, you have to push down other women because of their femininity. You'll see all these not like other girls have things like, I hate pink. Oh, my favorite color is black. And what is pink commonly associated with but femininity? And these black, blue, red, a lot of those colors that you see a lot in these pins in these videos, those are very commonly associated masculine colors. And I think it's really interesting that we do not hold society accountable for making girls hate their own femininity so much. And with boys too. We see a lot, especially now, we're seeing a lot of people making fun of boys who act femininely by calling them femboys and reducing them to just, oh, they're obviously gay, which nothing against gay people at all. But the people say, oh, they're obviously gay because they're feminine, and we kind of take this thing of, oh, you obviously can't be a quote unquote normal person if you are feminine, because then that must be your only thing defining trait, whereas a more masculine girl, or like a more masculine woman, is oftentimes just seen as, oh yeah, she's like tough and she's just breaking those gender norms. Whereas with boys being more feminine, it's often looked down upon as, oh, they're just trying to make fun of girls, they're trying to impersonate girls. And no, it's really just embracing one's inner femininity, but we've encouraged society, boys in general, to push down their femininity in order to appeal to others. And I think that we see a lot of this. There's a whole draw a scientist experiment. A lot of people will draw men, but if you look at a lot of pictures or drawings of women scientists even, we will see women in very, very masculine clothes. Like women lawyer, Elwood's obviously my favorite woman lawyer, but if you look up the picture of a woman lawyer, they're always dressed much more masculine than maybe one would typically dress in their day-to-day life. And I think that's because women are not taken as seriously in their workforces, in their schools, in their communities, because they are more feminine. They dress more feminine. They might act more feminine. And I think that because of that, we see these women in these roles of power, and you'll see this a lot on TV shows too, and they're always dressed very much more masculine than you would expect, or than in certain like books that are turned into movies than it says they are in the books, because they want to appeal to this society that says that you cannot be feminine and powerful. We can see this trend being accurate if we look back into the 1900s, but then we're going into the mid 1900s. Women are again kind of thrown away from these more masculine spaces, quote unquote masculine, and move more back into these domestic, stereotypical womanly roles. And as soon as we kind of push them back here, we see this femininity being restored, because that's what society wants them to be now. Before, obviously, because they had to occupy these quote-unquote masculine spaces, they had to be more masculine, but now they're being introduced back into more domestic spaces, quote-unquote more womanly spaces. They want them to be more feminine, to fit this ideal that we have that a feminine person cannot be powerful. And this goes back into what we see with a lot of young boys today. We see them shaming other boys because they're more feminine. We see them shaming girls because they're more feminine. We see other girls shaming other girls and boys because they're more feminine. And I think that's just rooted in this deep, deep hatred that we have as a society for these feminine roles, because they lack power. They lack status. And then we take this ideal and we put it onto these kids, and then those kids, that's what they know, so they go off and spout that this feminine is bad. This is not good. This isn't gonna get you anywhere. And I think that that's really a harmful idea, because it gives these people who are not afraid to be themselves, not afraid to be feminine or masculine or whatever they want to be, and it takes them and it puts them into these little boxes of, oh, if you're a feminine women scientist, oh, you must have bought your way to the top. Or, oh, you're a male feminine teacher, oh, you must be gay, right? And then we see these masculine women, maybe mechanics, in these more stereotypically masculine spaces, and we take that and we say, oh yeah, that's just a standard. That's okay for this woman and this man to be more masculine in whatever the spaces they want to be. You can have a more masculine teacher, and that doesn't necessarily tell anything about them, because they're not feminine. When you see a feminine person, society has such a view that femininity is out of the ordinary. It's not normal. It's this weird other thing that we kind of take this and we say, oh, if you're feminine, it doesn't matter what workspace you're in. You could have a feminine auto mechanic who's working in a very masculine space, and that's not their space. But then you see a feminine teacher, and that's not their space either, because we have this ideal that femininity is less than masculinity. And so we take these feminine people and we bring them down and down and down as far as we can take them by calling the men who are feminine gay. Zesty is one of the most common things I've seen now. And we take these women and we say that they're just the stereotypical women and that they're not feminist. And it goes into creating these like pick-me standards that we see today of, oh, if you're not feminine enough as a woman, you are just looking for male validation, you're looking to put down other women. But if you're too feminine, you are just like other girls and you're not doing enough for feminism. And this creates this tiny little window of where girls in general are allowed to be. And this is how like society takes femininity and uses it to rip down girls. That's kind of all that I have to say about that topic. I hope you enjoyed this video. That was a little bit of a dramatic shift from my rant to my closure, but that's okay. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and here's the completed artwork. I really hope you liked it. Bye!